This is a video I didn't think I'd ever make. This is a situation I never thought I'd find myself in. And this is a person that I never thought I would come in contact with. This is one of those situations you hear about in a story and you just think, oh, whatever, that'll never happen to me. But it happened. It happened to me, and it happened to all my friends. Now you'll notice, before I get into the actual story, that this video is very long, and that's because this first part is going to be me telling my personal story being catfished, and I'll explain what that means in a moment too. And the large portion of the video after that is just me sitting down with my friends and having an extended conversation about all of our experiences with this horrible, horrible person. So if you feel inclined after seeing my part, just sit and watch the whole video for a long conversation, sort of like a podcast, and you get all of the depth and detail, and you really get a feel for what happened to everybody. So now, if you're not aware, catfishing is when someone portrays themselves to be somebody that they are not, typically online, because that's the world we live in. And this happened to me from a furry. This was shocking because, first of all, this was only last week that we found this out. When I say we, I mean myself and my friend group. And it's someone we had all known for 7 months. And when I say it's someone I knew, it's someone I knew personally. I talked to him nearly every day on Telegram. I had multiple voice conversations with him. We had video conversations. This was a real person. It wasn't that he was catfishing his appearance or anything. He was stringing out a web of lies that were so extensive that it's creepy. I won't name him in this video, and that's because I fear of what he may do to me if I were to say his name publicly, because I am not sure what this person is capable of. I'm serious about that, and you'll get a feel for that now, and especially in the extended conversation I have with my friends. So I'm just going to be saying he and him to not completely out his identity publicly, just to protect myself. He joined my Patreon about 7 months ago at the $50 tier, which is and was very generous. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. I want to get to know this guy that's supporting me so heavily. And so we joined voice chats, and we just got to chatting, and I thought he was a really sweet guy, really charismatic, really caring. He listened to what you said, and he just seemed like a really nice furry that I felt close with. I think my friends and I all had differing levels of friendship with him, but a group of friends that were on the Patreon all pretty much got to know him pretty well, except we didn't get to know him at all. He lied about everything, and these are creepy lies. It's not just like little lies here and there. You know that furry that lied about being in a car accident? Well, he did that too. He lied about being in a car accident, but there was even more lies than that. So much more. It makes that look like child's play, which that wasn't. That was really messed up too. But it's just unbelievable, and I don't have a script for this video, so I'm going to kind of try to go chronologically. The first time that this person was supposed to meet up with my other friends in, I think it was Texas, I'm not sure. They were going to meet up in a hotel and all hang out and get to know each other for the weekend. And they all met up there, but he didn't show up. And the reason he gave was that his father passed away, which of course we're all like, oh my god, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible, dude. Like, if you need anything, let us know. Like, that's awful. So he said he couldn't make it to that meetup because of that. And of course we're all understanding, and of course we didn't question that. Why would you ever question someone who says, I had my father die? That's not something you think, let me check the validity of this statement. So it was maybe 5 days after that, and it was after the weekend where they all met up with each other. He said that his mother ended up committing suicide, and he claimed this was because his father, who he previously said was very wealthy, turned out to be a con artist and was in great debt, and they suddenly didn't have any money, and his mother was so distraught she took her own life. Which, of course, again, why would I question that? That's just, you hear that and you're like, oh my god, like, I'm so sorry. That's so awful for you, dude. I can't imagine what you're going through. Spoiler alert, this is all lies. Every story that he told was just damn lies. All of it. So the next thing that happened was he was going to be in my hotel room at Anthrocon. He was my fourth roommate, and up until 2 days before it, he said he was going to go. A lot of time had passed since he faked his parents' death, unbeknownst to us. He said he was going to be my roomie, and I was excited to finally meet him in person because we talked all the time. I was super close to this guy. I told him everything. You know what? I trusted him. So he was going to be in my Anthrocon room, and 2 days before, he said, oh no, I got in a car accident. Which I was like, oh my god, this guy has the worst luck. I feel so bad for him. Like, the dude just got in a car accident after having both his parents die. Like, that's awful. And like, while you may be thinking, well, gee, that's a lot of bad things to happen, I've had friends that really have had just terrible thing after terrible thing happen. So again, I didn't question it. Why would you fake a car accident? Again, there was that other furry in the fandom that did it, but this is after faking his parents' death. So he didn't end up making it at Anthrocon, and luckily I was able to find one of my other friends to fill the 4th room spot. Otherwise, I was going to have to cover that out of my own pocket, which really would have sucked because I don't make a lot of money. So Anthrocon came and went, and there was another event just this past weekend called Texas Furry Siesta. And this person was supposed to, he had the room for this event, the Monarch Suite, and he was going to have, I think, 5 of my friends all stay with him for free because he had the money and he had this room booked and he just wanted to throw a good time. And I couldn't make it because I didn't have the money to fly to Texas, but all my friends were going. So, day of, my friend flies in there, Ajax, he flew in there and he got to the airport, and this person was nowhere to be found, and this person was going to pick him up from the airport. So he was stranded at the airport, just stranded there. So luckily, hours passed and Rennie was able to pick up Ajax and bring him to the hotel for Texas Furry Siesta. When they get to the hotel, this person wasn't there. He wasn't contacting them at all, no communication at all, and Rennie asks, okay, who has the Monarch Suite? Is it registered to his real name? And they said, no, that's registered with the convention itself. So this person never had the Monarch Suite, although they did book it a long time ago, take a screenshot, and then cancel it, just so we'd think that he really did have it. So they were there without a hotel room, and they all had to band together and buy a different hotel room because that was their only choice. Luckily, this was a smaller event, and they could actually get a hotel room, and they weren't just completely screwed. That was the last straw, though, because we're all like, what the heck? You know, because every other time something's happened, he's always made up an excuse, but this time, there was no excuse. He just didn't respond. So I got on my Discord, and I was messaging people, and I brought this person up, and it all came to light that day of how much of a liar this person was. He claimed that he was in the military, and he had a Purple Heart, and if you don't know, that's a big deal, and you don't fake your military service. But guess what? He didn't have a Purple Heart. That was a complete fabricated lie. Of course, why would I question if you got a damn Purple Heart? That's just disgusting to lie about. It gets really creepy. He claimed to some of my patrons, my Discord has a lot of people in it, to some of my patrons, that he and I were dating. But he always prefaced it with, don't tell anyone but Odin and I are dating, and we just don't want anyone to know. But I just wanted to tell you because I'm excited. So it never got back to me that I have apparently had a boyfriend. But no. With some people, he said that him and I were going to get married, and they were invited to a wedding in Mexico. Yeah, he said him and I were getting married. And again, no one told me because he said, don't tell anyone but. And all of these people respected him enough to keep his privacy, and they trusted him because he was good at manipulating. He was good at lying up until a point where it all crumbled down and we all figured out that this guy was just a complete and utter fake. This guy also said he was really good friends with Nas and that they had a falling out or something. That was never true. He was never close to Nas. He was in Kiwi's Discord, Mark Sparks' Discord. Skari, he actually said that he had like some photo gig for Skari to shadow so he could learn more about photography. And then, oops, it just didn't happen. So he didn't just mess with people online. It transferred to real life. Canceled events, didn't pick people up. It really affected us. It was more than just pretending to be someone else. It was actively screwing over other people. And this is a person that I had talked to for 7 months, and I thought I was close to. I considered him my close friend, and one day you snap your fingers and it's gone. And they're just not who they say they are, and it's scary. I've been messed up for a few days now. Like, really messed up, because when you think you're this close to someone, and they're just completely fake, it fucks with everything. It messes with your perception. It messes with my trust of others. I never thought I'd run into someone this fucked up. I don't know what mental condition he actually had, because no normal person does this. I don't know if he was a sociopath, and he was obviously a compulsive liar. That much is obvious. But I don't know if he was a sociopath and just this was one big game to him to see how many lies he could tell until it finally crumbled. I don't know. And I honestly don't know if the story is going to end here. I hope so strongly this is the end of the story for me. Because we all blocked him and we just want him out of our life. But I honestly don't know what he's capable of, because he's clearly got some sort of psychosis, and I don't know. I just really sincerely hope he doesn't try to physically harm myself or any of my friends, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm not going to live in fear of it, because on the same token, I could die in a car crash tomorrow. So there's no real point in me living in a fear of someone like that, because whatever will happen will happen. And I wanted to make this video to share this experience, because it never occurred to me and probably some of my friends that this would happen to us and that we'd run into a person this disgusting, this vile and manipulative, but it happened. It's real, they're out there, and they're in the furry community. Some advice that I can maybe give now that I've had this happen is to have a healthy ounce of skepticism about things. Oh, I forgot to mention, I invited him into my house at one point, but I canceled because I wasn't feeling well. So I trusted him to that extent, and that's so terrifying. I really be careful of anyone, especially if you invite them into your home or a convention room with you. And it's scary because furry has always been a safety net, because I know a person and other people know a person, and you really think, okay, well, all these people know him, he must be safe. Like, I have this safety net of social circle, but that's not true in this instance. We all thought we knew him. I just wanted to tell my story as like a warning and like a harsh look at reality, I guess, because you just don't think something can happen to you until it does. I'm going to be more careful in the future of who I trust. I'm going to try to verify more grandiose statements. And I guess I'm going to cross my fingers that I never run into another person that's this disturbed that just wants to hurt everybody around them. It's been rough, and it'll be rough for a while. This is like experiencing the death of a friend, except they didn't just die and they're out of your life, but it turns out that they've been a terrible person all along. Is even worse. So it's hard. I hope that somehow something good comes of telling this story, that maybe it'll help someone. I'm not even sure how, but I just don't want more people to experience what I did. And I really hate that this horrible, horrible person affected myself and so many friends in a community that I love. Just be careful and just know that there are really fucked up people out there, and you can think you can know someone, and it turns out they're not who they said they are, and it's scary. But the world isn't always positive, obviously. I guess there's a lot more to this story. There's a lot more lies that were told. The lies that were told to me were less extravagant than they were to my friends, and I think it's because I was kind of the middle point, and he didn't want me to catch on because I was kind of in the middle of all of it. So the story after this will be with my friends and I, while they were at Texas Furry Siesta in that room that they all had to buy together. They're going to be telling their experiences, and I'm going to also be probably retelling parts of mine. We're going to be discussing what lies that we knew about, and there's a lot more to it. There really is. So if you want to hear more, please stay and listen to the rest of this video. This will be the end of the portion that's just me in fursuit telling what happened. And I just want to say thank you, everybody that watches my content. I have met a lot of awesome people through this, and almost all of my other patrons have been fucking fantastic people, so I can't thank them enough. This one terrible, terrible person doesn't change the fact that all of my other patrons have changed my life for the better, and I love their support, so thank each and every one of you. It means the world to me, and I'm going to continue making content for as long as I'm around. And again, my channel's going to be a mixture of fun, upbeat videos and real moments like these, because I think there's something to be learned here, and I really genuinely hope you get something out of this. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you stick around for the rest. Here it is.
Where do we...
Let's just go in order. So let's start
how he popped into the picture.
I don't know. He just showed up on my Patreon one day, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up on your Patreon and he started talking to a bunch of us.
That's like the first time any of us had ever heard of him, right? Was when he joined my Patreon?
Yes.
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 Yeah, I hadn't heard him since before the Patreon, so...
Yeah, so I guess that's when he met all of us. And I know he's been talking to Kiwi, Nas, and Mark Sparks, so he seemed to, like, target furry YouTubers.
Yeah.
But from what I can tell, none of them really got very close to them. to him.
Yeah.
He just basically made up lies about them, stuff like, oh yeah, Nas stayed at my house for a month, and he recorded a video, but don't ask which video.
Yeah, he was like, just don't tell anyone.
So everything he ever said was just prefaced with "don't tell anyone," but
Yeah, pretty much. That's literally all he said.
And then he would tell the whole world, like he'd say, don't tell anyone, and he'd tell everyone else this.
Yep.
And somehow we were all not pieces of shit and trusted him enough to not say things that he said not to tell other people.
Pretty much.
Well, Rennie and I talked to each other. Rennie and I were like, what do you know? And what if,
Well, when did you talk to each other?
It was before. It was like after he said the thing about his dad committing suicide. That's when we talked to each other, because I was like, have you talked to him? Because he hasn't said anything to me, and I don't know what's going on. And Rennie and I were like, okay, well, we obviously can't talk about this because he's told us not to talk about it. But Rennie and I just have a very strong friendship, and we trust each other. We actually trust each other, so it wasn't a problem for us.
Mm.
But then again, he would always say, like, you don't tell anyone else about
Did
this.
you guys have suspicions back then?
I started having suspicions kind of early on myself, because first off, he always advertised like he's super rich or whatever. Like his parents have always millions of dollars. Like his grandma owns some kind of oil factory or some oil refinery.
I got the whole story on that.
Oh,
I have the whole thing on the oil.
Yeah, because my relationship with him was never any of that. I never heard any of, like, he's rich or his parents are rich or any of that. My relationship with him was he was, like, self-made through his job. Like, he made a lot of money through his job.
He did say that.
It was never that he was rich. It was just that he did very well with this one job. And that was way more believable to me. So maybe that's why I never caught on to it as quickly as you guys maybe did.
Yeah, he never told me about the oil thing. He told me it was just his job. And I believed it because it's a defense contractor. It's going to have a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
So he, like, stopped talking to me for, like, a really long period. And so I didn't actually figure it out until I kind of heard about the whole situation with you. Because, I hadn't been talking to him. So I only knew what, like, Rennie was telling me about him. And I meant to talk to you about it sooner. I just, like, had been really busy. And I was like, I'm sure it's fine. Like, I didn't think, I just didn't, I don't know.
well, suppose, like, why would you be living in an apartment if your family's that well off or whatever? Like, I know he advertised himself as well made, whatever that.
He can carry himself.
He can carry himself.
He can carry himself or whatever.
But then again, it's
I feel like he advertised himself more realistically with me, and then to everybody else he was telling more grandiose lies. Because I think with me he wanted to be more careful, because I was like the linchpin in all of his lies, kind of. Like, they all surrounded knowing me and shit, because I guess I'm how he found all of you too. So I think he was more careful with the lies he told me. I think. That's just what I'm getting from this, because I didn't hear a lot of this shit.
Yeah, he made up a whole story about how his grandmother owned an oil company and how, all kinds of stuff like that. It was like a ridiculous, I don't remember all the details because I thought, why would you share this with people? Because personal, and like only assholes do that, really. Like,
he was always like really pompous. Like, he said, look at all this stuff I have. And
so he did a video call, like, I think it was like this same week or something. He did a video call with me. He told me, like, I need you to come do this. And I was like, okay. Because I told him that my car broke down, and he was like, look at all this money I have. Like, he didn't have his shirt on, which I told him made me uncomfortable, and he was like, oh, sorry, and then just, like, turned off his camera, but I was just like, okay, what? It was a whole thing. But, like, he basically just showed me how much money he had, quote unquote, and then was, like, offering it to just, like, give it to me, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
And another thing was, like, he tried to cater his lies around each person. Like, for instance, Jaded has a Dodge Challenger Hellcat, and then he would try to, like, outdo you. Like, he would say, yeah, I have a Hayabusa motorcycle that can go faster than that or something. Like,
he was a one-upper is what he was. Yeah.
The other thing is,
because I didn't get that with my experience from him. Did you, Ajax? Because you and I seem to have a more similar view of him.
With me, it was more of, like, something would happen in my life. Like, my friend Eli, he passed away from kidney failure. And then a little bit later, he was like, oh, I suffered a loss too. And then I was talking about, and his loss with his father, which I don't know, I'm not going to say whether or not it's actually true or not. But I was talking about how my father was never really there and how it was kind of hard growing up up because he was kind of a piece of crap to me. He like abused me and everything. And then a couple days later, he was like, "Oh, this is what my father did. Now he's a piece of shit." And
yeah, that was like a twist. I guess once I zoom out and look at everything, it seems really obvious now. Like, because, okay, what were the things in order? It was, I think the first quote-unquote tragedy was his father supposedly dying, right? I think that was the first thing.
It was just an injury. The actual tragedy was the father's suicide.
Yeah.
And then that rolled into a couple days later that he was like, my father was a piece of shit.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just trying to get a timeline on, like, all the bullshit, because none of this was true. He said his dad killed himself, and then it was like, the twist was like, oh, my dad's terrible and embezzled all this money or whatever, and he's actually poor, when even though I said he had money. And it was like, oh, that's unfortunate, which led into the lie of my mother was so distraught she killed herself, which actually was clever, because it's like, oh, that makes sense, and that's terrible. And then those are the excuses for him to not meet up with you guys for the first time, right?
Right. He would always make up excuses of why he could never meet us in person.
Now, something else that's really important that that we all figured out when we started talking about our stories is that he was actually stealing our parts of stories that we had told him. And, like, the suicide stuff came from me telling him about my friend that killed himself in November.
Oh, my God.
That's why he was saying those things. And he did the same thing to Jaden.
And that's where the story of him being shot twice and getting a Purple Heart came from. He took my story of being shot and turned it and one-upped me, saying he was shot twice.
Wow, that's so fucked. He's like a weird chameleon piece of shit.
I think he even tried to outdo you too. I think he said he got shot 3 times.
Yeah, he got 3 purple shot.
It changed. He told me twice. He told me he got medically discharged from the Air Force. He told me he was Air Force Special Forces, that he was a Saudi.
From what we know from his fiancée, supposedly, if it isn't another personality, for all we know, has multiple personalities. But if it really is his fiancée and his fiancée is another person, is that he was only in the military for, 5 weeks and then got discharged somehow?
Got kicked out probably in 5 weeks. That's about the time in basic training when your drug results test comes back.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's the only thing I can figure from my own personal experience. Hang on. Now, he told me he was Air Force, that he was Special Forces, and he was Saudi, which is one-upping me, because I was in the Air Force Reserve after I got off active duty Navy, and I was Air Force Security Forces. It gets deeper. So I would say the first lies is him establishing himself, taking other people's stories and saying he has all this money and that he's done this with his life and done that with his life and that this is the type of person he is. So he's establishing himself with some of our stories that make us look, what would be respected by normal people. Like, oh, this happened to you and this actually happened to you. He would take that and be like, okay, I'm going to wrap this in my own thing and people are going to respect me for something that I said I did but didn't happen. So that was his first lies, him establishing connections with people through commonalities from stories he's made up. And then when it got time, we started getting to talking to him. Like, hey, this guy might be a really cool guy. We should, hang out and plan some meets. And when we were going to meet up for Ajax's birthday, he said, yeah, I want to go. Please come pick me up. We can road trip up there together, pick Rennie up.
And he paid for the room.
And that he was going to pay for the hotel room. And it was like a week prior, or like less than that. It was like 4 days prior. He, just all of a sudden Discord called us. And we all answered. And he was just there, just bawling his eyes out, crying.
Which was fake.
Which apparently he can fake tears. That's me not to catch it because I felt so bad for him. And he asked me, say, hey, I need, I need a shoulder to cry on. I need someone here with me. Can you come to me? And I really didn't have the money to go to his apartment. But I said, hey, I'll do it for you. I'll come and I'll be there for you. So I went and I got there and he was just drunk as hell on his porch. And he was playing sad songs on his little phone and he was sitting there drinking. And I was just like, yeah, I understand. It's like, I know how you're feeling. I recounted the story of how my mom died.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I said my mom passed away from breast cancer and stuff. And I was recounting that, so I was like, I know it's hard because, you're still young. Your parents are still young. So it's just for it to pop up, it hurts. And then this also dawned on me last night, actually. And I didn't really piece it together. And this is really going to flip your shit. I took this as him playing a stupid game, and then end up on, of course, him being drunk too. But he pulled a gun on me.
What?
He pulled a handgun out of his waistband and pointed it.
What was
on the balcony of his apartment?
What was the context of the situation?
So he had gone. So we were outside. I had a beer. He had been drinking all day apparently, but he had gone inside to get another beer. And he came back out and set his beer down. He had his back towards me, and then he reached in his waistband and pulled a handgun out and turned and pointed at me.
What the fuck?
And I was like, and at the time, I was like, took it away from him. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, and if I just chalked up to he was drunk, it was a joke, he was trying to show me his concealed carry holster or something like that because he's a gun guy and I'm a gun guy. I use that term loosely that he's a gun guy. I don't even think he is. The gun wasn't loaded, or at least not around in the chamber, but it had a full magazine. And he had this look on his face when I took the gun away from him, like he was really going to do something with that gun, but then I took it out of his hand.
You didn't think this was pertinent to say till now?
It just dawned on me last night, actually.
It's a lot to take.
Because let me tell you what. Last night when it hit me, my face turned white when I realized, shit, that fucking actually did happen.
Well,
because at the time I just kind of blew it off as, oh, he's just being stupid.
Well, this changes my view of things because I initially thought he didn't have guns and he was all talk, but now that scares me a bit.
Well, that's probably the only gun he has because he always, how he's bragged about. Jade is a gun guy, so he has guns.
Hang on.
You know how Jade is a gun guy. He tried to outdo Jade. He tried to say, I got $50,000 worth of guns and it's kind of safe for something supposedly.
Yeah.
So that's probably the only gun he has. Was that one gun?
I'm worried about how many guns he has. I'm worried about the fact that he has a gun and he pointed at one of us, and that's apparently a thing he can do. And did.
And something that I want to point out is that if it was any other person that wasn't Jaded, it would have been bad because Jaded is a police officer and he can handle that kind of situation. And which is why I don't blame you because at all for anything. But I'm just saying, that can be why your first reaction wasn't to be like to panic because it's something you've dealt with. It's something you have experience with.
My only concern is if it had been someone else and they had frozen.
One of us could be dead.
What would he have done if someone had frozen and been like, that scared rabbit instead of immediately just and pretty much cussing out about
it? I don't know. So is he a person we need to worry about more than I initially thought?
Only if he knows where you live.
He does.
Then I would worry a little bit more.
I mean, he bought my merch, and at first I fucked up and didn't have it
sent from a P.O. box or something?
I think it showed my real name or something. I think he knows where I live. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
He was trying to get my real name because he's trying to help me set up my PayPal. He's like, I can help you do that. And I'm like, no. I was smart about it myself because I felt kind of weird about that.
I'm gonna go over where my parents keep my guns again, just in case. We have guns, so in a locked safe with a fingerprint reader. But yeah, that's fun.
But here's the thing, as I don't believe one of the lies he told me because he was trying to connect with me on the gun stuff. So he was trying to tell me that he was a Class 3 federal firearms license holder, that he had access to buy and sell fully automatic weapons, destructive devices, and suppressors.
So he's clearly an egomaniac. My theory that he's not psychopathic, but I think he's sociopathic. That would be my theory about him. I don't think it's as simple as bipolar 2, although bipolar 2 can be really off the rails from what I know from my friend's mother.
Well, I also know a lot about bipolarism. It doesn't sound like bipolarism. It sounds like
sounds like that might play part of it, but I think there's more than that. I think it's
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It might be a part of it, but it's definitely there's more going on than just that.
It feels like sociopathic behavior because he just completely lies to everybody all the time, and he doesn't seem to really give a shit about anyone. It could even be psychopathic, honestly. I don't know if he's completely faking all of his emotions and his empathy. I don't know. I guess.
I think it's psychopathic because he put on a pretty good show about crying. It was very convincing.
Yeah, and he also called me and cried. I don't know if it was the same night, but he did the same thing to me.
He did the same thing to me, too.
Yeah.
Because the thing about a psychopath is that they try to emulate human emotion because they don't necessarily feel it. And they're just trying to manipulate people for their own gain, and it's all a game. Which is scary, because psychopaths are the scariest of the scary. They will fucking murder and not give a shit. They don't have the capability to give a shit. Sociopath, they might still feel guilt. I'm just worried that if I make a YouTube video, will that provoke him? I don't know.
I'm thinking, if anything, he's going to take it out on the closest person, and that's going to be
me.
He doesn't have enough money to go up to you.
I'm closer than you. Simon, he doesn't know where I am.
I don't think he's...
Yeah,
I guess the gun thing is something completely different, but I always got the impression that he was just all talk, and that once this web of lies fell down, he's just gonna move on to like a different scene than furry and lie to them and make up another personality. I never got the impression that he was gonna end up being like, come after us or some shit. I just think he's too, I don't know.
Well, if he was gonna do that, I mean, I don't see why he would use his real name or why he would meet with anybody.
It's weird because he simultaneously fooled all of us, but at the same time told the dumbest fucking lies that of course we were gonna figure them out over time. So it's like he was but stupid at the same time.
Because he did, was like, oh, please don't go around spreading my business, and we all respected that and said, hey, we're not going to say anything.
Yeah, but like, he had to know eventually people would fucking figure out that he didn't know me for 10 years, or that he wasn't at my fucking house, or I'm not going to get married to him. Like, he had to know that eventually that would get out. So like, was this a game that over time he just tried to make more grandiose lies and see how far he could take it till we figured it out?
Possibly.
I mean, if he's just playing a game just to see if he can fuck with furries or whatever, he's
got his own persona made.
Yeah, he went the full 9 yards with everything. Persona.
I mean, he also gave me $300 one month on Patreon and an additional $150. So he was obviously willing to give money to like give himself some credibility, I guess.
Cement himself into his lie. If this was truly a game,
I forgot what it's called, but sometimes some people tell stories and they start to literally believe them.
It's not that. It's not that. We know it's not that because he literally was apologizing. Like he knew. Once it happened, because he messaged me that same night.
He was messaging everyone at the same time with that same story. Like, it was disgusting because I knew he caught wind of it and started messaging me. He's like, I did it. And I was like, oh yeah, what's that? He's like, I tried it. And I was like, oh, what did you try? I tried to OD. And I was like, are you like, you're really gonna pull that right now? Like, it's like he had one more desperation move of being like, maybe I could win their sympathy by making up this lie. Like, it's just disgusting how far he would go.
That is, yeah, I know what you're talking about with the person lying. No, because he would, if he was one of those people, he would tell the same lie to the same people, and then he would believe that lie. But he changed the lies to everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody's lie was a little bit different.
Just so fucked up.
And it wasn't even one of those harmless tall tales like, oh, I slept with this guy who had this huge dick, blah blah blah. That's harmless. That doesn't harm anybody. But saying that, oh, I'm dating such and such, and we're gonna get married in Mexico, and I'm gonna pay for all y'all to come down there. And oh, by the way, I'm a war hero, and my parents are rich, my family's rich, and I have a high paying job, and I have a really fast motorcycle. Oh, and by the way, my parents just committed suicide. Boo hoo, sad on me. Oh, and now my parents aren't rich, but now they're $600,000 debt because of all the debt, and I don't know what I'm going to do because my top secret clearance is going to go away. Oh, pity me. Oh, now I'm going to OD. I almost did it.
It's almost like a meme. It's like the worst things happen to someone. It's like oopsie whoopsie, no thing happened. Oh well. It's like you begin to stop caring or whatever. Like
to me, I was just like, oh my god, he's the unluckiest person. I feel so bad for him because I had no reason to distrust him. Also, it never fucking occurred to me that someone would lie about this shit. Like, I know there was Busky in the past who lied about getting in a car accident, but that's like child's play compared to this guy.
Mm-hmm. Because what kind of fucking maniac would lie about those? Like, what is there to gain?
I don't understand that. I've been trying to figure out what did he gain from any of this.
The only thing that he would be gaining, quote unquote, is sympathy. Like, that's the only thing that makes any sense. And even then, it's like, what?
I mean, I think he was trying to gain sympathy. He was trying to gain jealousy. He was trying to gain envy from people because he literally tried to make people jealous, envious, trying to make people sympathize with him. He was trying to evoke emotions out of people, like severe emotions, like pity, respect. He was trying to draw all these things out of people. He wanted all these people to do all these things to him, is what it sounds like.
I almost want to send this conversation to if we know a psychologist furry who can figure out what the fuck is wrong with this guy to give us better insight of like what type of person did we really run into and what the fuck is wrong.
I think we ran into a fucking a nut job who's got a drug addiction.
Yeah, we think drugs were involved too. You didn't hear about that. So he was saying that the people that lived below him were drug dealers, and he said this multiple times to me and Jaden. So we think drugs were also involved to some degree.
Yeah, sure. It could have been he had a mental condition that the drugs aggravated.
Right.
Because this isn't, you don't do this type of, like, there's no drug that...
No, he knowingly...
Yeah, it's like, might be an agitator, but it's not the cause.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, it's another level of a thing that happened.
I mean, he clearly was probably an alcoholic, too.
Oh, he absolutely was.
Which is funny, because, like, he told me he quit drinking, but...
When he could afford it.
Yeah.
Because, you remember, he would show everyone all these alcohol bottles he's got, and or tell people about all this expensive alcohol he's got. He only had, like, a 12-pack of beer when I went there for the shoulder to cry on. He didn't have much alcohol there.
God, who knows what would have happened if he would have actually met up with us at Anthropon or something.
That's something...
That's a scary-ass fucking thought.
It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought being here now, because...
I fucking invited him into my home. Like, I was like, you should come over. Like, that's scary. That just makes me question, like, who the fuck do I trust? Like, you can think you know someone for 7 fucking months, and they're an actual fucking psycho crazy fucker who could have just been there to kill you. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, that shouldn't happen.
Like, I listen to a lot of, like, My Favorite Murder podcasts. I don't know if any of you have, but they just talk about, you know, psychopaths and sociopaths who murder, and it's just like, you hear those stories, and you're like, that just seems like fairy tales, you know, that could never happen to you. But then we all ran into a fucking person that was that insane. Like, it happened to all of us. I mean, he didn't kill us yet, or hopefully ever, but we encountered that person, and it gives it a tangibility, and it's fucking scary.
Oh, I forgot what day it was, but I was thinking in my head, he's like, I want to talk with you on Discord. Like it was like something that we were talking about, like he didn't want to type out, but I was like thinking in my head, like, what are you, a fake? I was going to ask him that night. It was like, what do you want to talk about? Like, you being a fake? It was like the lies were so over the top and grandiose that it mostly started around May when he really made these lies so far out that you start having doubts and you start not believing him anymore. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was all going to come to head here, because he'd always brag here at Furry Siesta, because he'd always brag about having this suite for all of us to stay in. You know, invite your friends. That's another thing too. He'd say, don't be afraid to invite all the people you possibly want, because we got all this room in this
and all this alcohol. And
he's wanting to make it so he's wanting to create a situation that's so chaotic. Like there'd be like 10 people in this room that only 4 of us can fit into, that we had to pay for because he didn't pay for, that he offered. He's going to pay for everything, but now we're out around $400. But that's that's a kind of a different story. They're probably going to add this in the video. I don't know. You know, like for instance, Ajax. He went to the airport and he was expecting Dex to be there, and we were getting no response from him. And that's when it really hit the fan. We were like all going, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? So my family was nice enough. I kind of convinced them to go over and help Ajax out, because it would have cost him an Uber ride or something to get over here. And then, like, we get here and we're waiting and waiting and waiting. That's when we really started to have our doubts. And I was kind of smart about it. I walked up to the front desk and I said, does anyone have the Monarch Suite? He always advertised it as a Monarch Suite. Yeah, we had the Monarch Suite. It's got all this fancy stuff. So I walk up there and they said, oh yeah, that's reserved for the function that you're having. And I'm like, that's not reserved for him? And they said, no, it's reserved for the function. Oh, that's when we really had our doubts. And then we went on Snapchat and we saw he was still in Arkansas. And we're like, oh, he's not coming. And that's when we just gave up on. That's when we knew it was a big lie.
Yeah.
Because it was all going to come to a head at Siesta. Something was telling me, like, we're going to find out the real Siesta, if he's telling the truth or not about everything. And that's what happened. If it weren't for us at Siesta, he would have continued to lie.
Yeah.
And we would have all been screwed for MFF.
Oh, yeah.
We'd actually been stranded in Chicago.
Yeah, because luckily with here, it's a smaller area, and there's still rooms.
And there's still people close by,
But during MFF, it would have been like, oh, there's no hotels that are available.
Yeah, MFF's going to be real bad.
Oh, I don't know what I'm already fucked for MFF. That was my plan. I don't know what I'm going to do now, but... It's days before we all figured it out, I started to get weirded out by him, because he just wasn't contacting Ajax and I anymore. And I was just like, oh, maybe it's because of his whatever the fuck accident he lied about. You know, maybe it's just because he said he was on morphine. You know what I mean? I was like, maybe that's why he's being weird. Because that would make sense. But then it was like, even after he supposedly was quote-unquote discharged Monday, he was still just being fucking weird. Like, I even called him, and it took, like, multiple tries, and then he finally picked up, and you could just tell he was being fucking weird. And I think it's because his fiance or whatever was there. And he's like, let me get back to my movie. And I was like, oh, okay, weird.
So, days before Siesta, like, I was already kind of leery of him even before his little pity party thing. But what really set the warning bells off was it was the week before Siesta, and he out of the blue messaged me on Telegram saying, hey, do you have a place I could stay for a little while? I need a place to keep low. And I said, what's going on? And the thing that threw me off was he said, it's nothing illegal, but it's a long story. And I was like, what? And he's like, I'll give you $2,000. He said, I have $40,000 cash in my pocket. I'll give you $2,000 a month if you let me stay with you.
What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? I think that might have tied into his grandiose story about his fiance being crazy and on the run from him.
Right.
I think that's where that stemmed from.
The other way around.
What?
That's what set the warning bells off. That's what set the warning bells off in my head. As soon as someone tells me it's nothing illegal, but I was like, no. Red flags, warning bells, sirens, and everything go off.
So, and not only that, but he came to me and said the same thing and said, I need somewhere to stay. Do you have somewhere I can stay? And I said yes. And I also invited him into my home.
He also with I won't say his name because I think he doesn't want his name out, but another person from our Discord. He also did the same thing. He did that same thing that same day to everybody, was like, I need you, because he must have particularly wanted attention that day, and that was the bullshit story he made up, was I need to stay at your place. He did that to multiple people the same day.
Right. I mean, he doesn't have my address, thankfully, because he did, I would be the closest person to him, probably. It's either me or Jaded.
I don't think I'm only 3 hours away from him.
I just think he's going to be like, oh, the jig is up. I'm going to move on to new targets and play a new game. I don't think he's going to...
For sure, the jig is up with people that know what he looks like and sounds like. But if someone doesn't know what he looks like and doesn't know what he sounds like,
I think the pup scene has to look out, because I know he's got like that pup gear and stuff. I think that'll be his next target. I'm a little nervous though, because I seem to be the subject of like I don't know. He was obsessed with furry YouTubers though.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty nervous because I think I'm the one he got closest to.
He was trying to move on to Ascari. Like he was trying to plan his next target.
Well, he was talking to Ascari for a while. I talked to Ascari the other night. He'd been in his Discord and stuff, but I warned Ascari, and he's taking actions to remove him from the Discord and all that, and telling all the mods and everything. Like, everyone's going to know who he is and what he did, but I don't want to say his name publicly, and I don't want to do a warning post as much as I feel like I should, because I just don't want to stir the hornet's nest and maybe have him retaliate against me. So I'm
not against anyone.
Yeah, against well, obviously I don't want him to hurt anyone. That's why it's the general warning of like, hey, stay away from this person, but I'm not going to publicly say who. I don't know. It's troubling. I've given his name and his address to my parents and literally told them, if anything happens, this is the guy who did it. So I don't know. I don't know really what more I can do than that. It's really troubling. But the way I look at it is I could get in a car and fucking get hit by a driver and die tomorrow too. You know what I mean? So it's scary, but I'm not going to live my life worrying about it either.
Yeah.
Because, hey, Sarah, really, I'll take reasonable precautions, but I don't know. There's only so much you can do.
Well, I mean, like I think he just started to kind of get bored of it, because, you know, he used to be in the server like all the stinking time. Mm-hmm. He talked all the time, and he would barely post anymore.
Yeah. He seemed like this last time he didn't bother even making up some sort of bullshit as to why he didn't show up for TFS. Just like everything else. Yeah. He made that stuff up beforehand, and it seemed like towards the end he kind of petered out and been like, I'm supposed to fly for Anthrocon. They're going to be expecting me. Let me make something up real quick. What can I make up? Oh, someone had a car accident. Oh, yeah, I just got a car accident. Real bad. I'm in the hospital.
Yeah.
And this one, it seems like he just kind of let it slip, and he just, like, forgot about it completely, to where he couldn't even make up a bullshit reason why he couldn't follow through. Like, he had used his whole bag of tricks where he didn't have any fresh material that would be believed.
It does seem like he lost interest at the end. I'm curious now, what were the other lies that he told you guys about his relationship with me, because what I heard was that he had known me for like 10 years. He had been in my Mersuit videos in the past, and the other one was that some people he told we were dating, and other people he told we were getting married. Those are the lies I know. What else has he said?
So the only thing that I was told, and he never told it to me directly, someone actually told me, but he told me that he was dating you, that you and him were boyfriend. That would be the only thing that he would meant that was brought up. So he didn't tell me personally himself. Just the way people talk.
It's so fucking weird. I just never heard. There was a couple times where I joined the voice chat and someone, I can't even remember who it was, but someone was like, "So are you sure you're not dating someone?" And I was like, "What? No. Like, what are you talking about? Like, are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure I'm not dating someone. What the fuck are you talking about?" And I kind of blew it off as like them like joking around because we just joke about shit. But I think that was probably like a couple weeks ago. Someone said that in the chat.
I heard about that one more recently. Like, I think I heard about that, like, last week or whenever. I was dealing with a lot of shit because, like, my car broke and, like, all that was going on. So I was like, okay. Like, I didn't even think about it. It was so bizarre.
Oh, and the other lie was that he was staying at my fucking house?
Oh my God. I remember that. Okay, so something happened with that we need to talk about because this is actually insane.
Well,
so
only this, though.
Well,
Nothing else.
No, all of it is.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I'm kidding. Go on.
This is another level. So he told me that he needed to video call me for whatever reason. And I said, okay. He video calls me. And this is the same call that I was talking about earlier, where he just didn't have his shirt on. And I was like, ew. And he was showing me where he was. He said, I'm not going to say where it is because for censorship purposes, just because, but he was showing me, he's like, look at this. It's my lake house. He said, it's my lake house. Proceeded to show me the money and everything. And he's like, oh, I can't talk very loudly because Ajax and Odin are sleeping in the other room.
Oh, he tried to say we were at his lake house?
Yeah. And then he turned off his camera after I said, yeah, I'm uncomfortable with the whole shirt being off thing. And then he said he had a cat in the background that was meowing, and he was saying that it was Pete.
Like I brought Peep to the fucking lake house?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And I didn't know what to do because I was like, this is the weirdest thing, and like I'm kind of having a panic attack, and like I don't know.
How long ago was this?
Like this was last week.
Okay. This
was last week, and I was so, like, it was so bizarre, I didn't know what to do. It literally, like, I couldn't process it.
You weren't even that close to him, though, right? Like, you didn't talk to him very much, right?
No, he talked to me a lot.
Really?
Yeah. He was talking to me a lot, and then he just stopped. Like, I think he hit the period where he just got bored of talking to me. But no, he talked to me a lot because he stole Jaded's story about how, and he told me about it, about how he lost somebody in combat, in like the line of fire, and like how all of this stuff, and I'm so mad about it because he talked about that because I was telling him about how my friend committed suicide.
Yeah.
And that's why he started doing that. And I'm like, I've never been so like livid and mad at somebody. Like,
oh, he did. He's just fucking awful. I mean, he faked his own suicide, faked his friends dying, faked getting in car accidents, faked his fucking military service and his Purple Heart. He's done something to piss off everyone. Like, he's just a fucking garbage dumpster piece of shit, fucking abhorrent human. Just the bottom barrel fucking worst.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we all feel that way about him.
Absolutely. I just wanted to share my feeling on it.
Right.
But yeah, so that happened, and that was insane. I don't know. I'm there.
Is there any other details we're forgetting about?
Yes.
Yeah, there's lots.
Oh boy.
Okay, so this one I remember, and this is, and I don't know if Ajax knows more about it, but Ajax was due to graduate college soon, and we were talking to him, and Ajax was looking to get his resume out there, and he was like, "Hey, the company I work for is a defense contractor.
Yeah.
It's like, send me your resume, and I'll forward it on because they're always looking for electronics technicians and stuff, and I can get you hired on with a really good paying job."
Yeah.
Oh, said some sort of.
Did you do it?
Yes, but luckily we were in the process of moving, so he doesn't have my current address.
But he has your name.
Yeah.
And I never found out what happened with that, but I kept asking Ajax, like, hey, did you get called for the interview yet? Hey, did you get called? And he's like, no, but something about some email or something like that, or, after he emailed the resume. So that's another lie that he told.
Well, that one doesn't surprise me at all, but yeah, that might have just been trying to get his real name and stuff.
And then later on, Ajax is wanting to move south because he's kind of tired of all the snow, but...
Same, though.
Now,
not that south, gross. What advice would you give people to try to avoid something like this in the future?
Man, there's almost nothing. I mean, when someone really wants to pull the wool over your eyes like a con artist, because that's pretty much what he is. He's a con man.
So your advice is you're fucked if it happens.
You're fucked if it happens. The best thing you can hope for is take your personal information as best you can to not be found out who you are. So pretty much, you're gonna get lied to everybody else.
No,
fuck it, right?
No, Jaded, no. The message has been you're not gonna be lie back. No. So okay, I'll ask again. So is there any advice you guys have?
I have advice. Okay. I think that, it's not practical. It's better to just be suspicious rather than... Because, you might look like an asshole, but...
That's the trickiest part. That's the trickiest part, because with people like this guy and the other furry that faked a car accident, it's like, you're so shitty if you were to ever question anything like that. Like, how dare you question that someone just got hurt? You know what I mean? That's the trickiest part about it, is that when someone says something terrible happens, you don't just go, okay, prove it, please.
Right.
As a decent fucking normal functioning human, you sympathize with them. It doesn't occur to you that it's fake. So I say,
I don't mean accidents or things that but just
no, I know
if somebody says they're gonna pay for a hotel room, I would say ask for the receipt, because
that's a good advice. Yeah.
Even if somebody says, "Oh, well, you don't trust me," and it's like, "Well, I've had experiences in the past, and I need to know that you have that hotel room."
Mm.
Oh, I know. Okay, he did that.
What?
Okay, you said, we're gonna see Ajax, right? He's paying for the room. He showed us he had the reservation.
He never showed me that he had the reservation.
It was in that group. It's some kind of group.
Wait, what proof was it?
He took a picture of his laptop, and he was going to cancel, because the way reservations work is as long as you cancel 24 hours beforehand.
He did have a receipt, then he just canceled without you guys knowing.
Right. He would have canceled it if we got up there.
So this entire thing is do you have any advice? And the advice is still just, you're fucked.
So here's how I would say, because I'm bad at giving advice because I give the wrong advice. This is purely what not to do. But the best I can say is treat everything with a little bit of skepticism.
Even horrible tragedies like that.
Even horrible tragedies, be like, oh, I'm so sorry for you, but don't get too attached until you can verify that actually happened.
And sometimes you just gotta do your research, because when this is gonna sound bad, but I'm trained to be a journalist, okay? So I went to college for mass communication. So I like doing my research, okay? So when he lied about, when he said his father passed away, on funeral home websites, they would have the obituary about that person. he survived by his son, blah blah blah. I Google searched his real name, and looked in the past week, and nothing showed up for his real name. It would have been in an obituary somewhere, he survived by his son, blah blah blah. That didn't exist. And also, the car accident he was in, he supposedly rolled 8 times. Something that major would have made headlines or something. It would have been reported. But I did the search, he was supposedly on I-30 or something like that, the one going to the airport, the city where the airport was, to go to AC and Anthracon, and nothing was reported on that. So I'm like, that's strange. On both of them. When he lied about his father passing away, that's when I started putting the clues together that someone's because there's nothing out there that exists to prove that it happened. So I guess I am kind of like a terrible person, but I am skeptical.
You're okay. That makes sense. But I think another word of advice is, when you get a feeling like this about a person, to bring it up with your other friends that know this person, because it feels like we at all different points got a weird vibe from him, and mine wasn't until days before we figured it out, because I guess I'm gullible and trusting. And also, he didn't try as grandiose lies on me as he did with you guys, it seems like. But so I feel like if you start to get a weird feeling about a person at all, maybe bring it up with that friend group that knows him. Because I feel like we could have exposed him quite a long time ago, but just because we didn't want to betray his trust, I guess, we just never said anything. And I'm not saying betray trust, but I'm saying if you get a weird feeling, bring up that weird feeling with the group that knows them as well.
If half the conversations with the person starts with, don't tell anyone, but kind of stuff, it's like...
Don't tell anyone, but is a pretty good red flag.
Yeah, if they say that, then you need to go to that person that he was saying, like, hey, what's the deal with this?
Well... No, because I've been like, don't tell anyone, but I'm really what if you're like, don't tell anyone, but we just got engaged? Like, there's some exceptions. Like, maybe you actually do legitimately want to keep a secret. But I'm just saying, I'm more saying, like, if you get a weird vibe or feeling, like, I don't know, someone pulls a gun out, or someone says that they're getting married to someone, but that other person's never shown any inclination towards that at all, or just anything that you think is like you genuinely get a weird vibe. Or he talks to you shirtless and tries to show you his money. Or you done background search and it's all wrong. Like, we all had a point where we could have maybe, like, talked it over with each other, but we didn't. Which...
Yeah, he could...
I wonder if we should, like, report it.
He doesn't... This isn't something you can report. The only thing would be like if he pulled a gun on you.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's reportable is that.
But then again, they're probably going to be like, why did you wait this long to say anything?
But and here's the other thing is, do you have any witnesses?
Yeah,
do you have any
witnesses, any proof? It's just he said, they said thing.
And then alcohol was involved.
Yeah. So.
Because he did drink a beer with him.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And in any situation, he either got our information or he tried to get our information. Like,
so I mean,
he knows.
Right now, we know he could theoretically fuck us all over, but we just can hope that maybe there's a single shred of humanity within him. Maybe somewhere deep down there's something left of him, and that he'll just leave us alone after all this because he's caused enough fucking damage. That's just my hope. Like, there's some fucking shred of humanity within this human being to just leave us alone now. I think he got his point across. I think he was getting bored. I honestly hope that he's just going to move on. And maybe to other people. I hope he doesn't. But maybe to other people or whatever. I don't know. My theory is that he's probably done with this. I just want to warn people about this can happen and that it's real.
This can happen, and this was the result of...
It fucked over so many people. This is just like an important thing to get out there. So, and that's the end of the conversation I had with my friends. That's about everything we discussed. We've again talked since and found out a little bit of new stuff, but I thought that including this would be interesting in this video, and I think it really just shows you the depth of the lies and the extent of the insanity of this person and this situation, how it affected all of us. So I hope you got something out of all of this. I really do. And thankful for my friends who all agreed to chat with me on that. Thank you, all of you. And I'm just going to end the video here and say next week it'll be a more lighthearted video, I'm sure. So I'm going to end it and thank my patrons as usual. Thank you for watching. If you watched this whole thing to this point, like, dang, dude, leave that in the comments. I'm really interested to see who would listen to something this long. So thank you guys so much. I'll see ya. And as always, I want to thank my lovely patrons, especially those at Diamond, Multiroy, Vatraline, Darth Quietness, and Slipfox392. Thank you for your huge support. Everybody at Platinum, Robert Deere, Frostbite, Wolf Medic, Connie Fox, Deku Panda, Jaded Fox, Snowy Wolf, Zintheros, and Fluffy Cinnamon Roll. Thank you guys also for your huge support this month. And everybody at Gold, Silver, and other tiers, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much.